In this video, we're going to continue to talk about VRAY for Cinema 4D, and we will continue to introduce what are the most important tools that you can use in order to start in a very easy way. So in the previous video, we talked about the rendering and the VRAY frame buffer, which I'm gonna close right now. And we will kind of insert models to populate a little bit our scene. And we can use models from Cinema 4D and also from VRAY. And we're going to start with VRAY. So I'm going to go to the VRAY menu, and you can see here, I can undock this menu, and I'm gonna bring it here on the side. So we talked about the production render and interactive rendering, which is a really important thing to understand. This is a basic thing. We are starting from the basics, and then we will move on to the other tools. And so we tested in the scene, we use the VRAY frame buffer. We have also additional tools that we're going to see that will help you to manage the lights inside the VRAY frame buffer, which is called the light mix, but we're going to see that later. So we are going to move on step by step. We're going to see the simplest thing first, and then we're going to move to the lights, and then cameras, and the other objects of Cinema 4D. But in this video in particular, we're going to concentrate on the Cosmos browser, which is the really handy tool that will help you to get a lot of assets from the Chaos group. Okay, so you can always update this Cosmos browser to get new models, but you can see here the ones that you already have at your disposal. You can enlarge the window here. You can place it wherever you want. If you have an additional screen, you can move it to that other screen. And you can see we have categories like furniture, accessories, lighting, vegetation, vehicles, people, HDRIs, which are actually textures, and we're gonna see that later. So it's pretty simple to understand here to choose a particular asset, which will be all 3D models except the HDRIs, which will be used to create environments. And again, we're going to talk about that later because it's a really important topic. But right now, I'm gonna start to select a category here. Let's go to the furniture. So if you click here, you will see a lot of 3D models that are perfectly designed, and they all have their own materials. So you can scroll up and down and search for something that you may be interested in. So if you're creating, for example, a living room or an office, you can scroll down. A bedroom, you see here you have a lot of different assets that you can pick from, and again, this will be always updated. In the left side, if you go here, you can also use the list, and again, you can go here on the home page again where you started, and you have the category, or you can go directly to the 3D models and select from here. And also HDRIs. So if you want to know how HDRIs look, you don't have an idea, you can see that. And let's go back to the home page and let's scroll down. You can see also you can browse by space, which means that you can search for a particular room. So if you're doing a kitchen or a bathroom or a bedroom, you can go directly there. Retail also, urban, country. So you have a lot of trees and people and vehicles. So you can add realistic assets, realistic props to make your scene look better and more realistic. Okay, so you can select a particular space. You can also go directly from here. These are the recently added. So you can search for something new. And again, let's go back to furniture. Let's start with furniture. Also, we have filters. So you can search for color if you want blue assets or black assets. You can also change that later. You can change the material. And also you can filter here, living room, kitchen, bedroom, and other spaces, and also outdoor or indoor. So you have urban and country again, and you can see also the surface. So if you say floor, it's going to show you the assets that are going to go on a floor, or you can search for things that are going to go up to the ceiling or on a table, and so on. Now, you can also search by date added and most popular. So be careful about the filters because they're gonna show you things or not. And here you can see I've already downloaded some assets. When you see that green button, it means that that assets has been already downloaded. So I can click on that green button and insert it right away. And if you see the blue button instead, it means that you need to download that. So again, I can search here for the latest and see something that I like. If I like a particular assets, I can click on that and I can see, for example, how many polygons are there. So some objects, they have a lot of polygons because they have tissues and things like that, which are really soft and organic. So the more details the model will have, the more polygons, and it will be heavier in your render. So be careful when you are choosing assets. Let's pick this other chair. You can see this has a little less polygons, and I can click here to the download button on the top right. I can continue to search for other assets while I wait, and when it's ready you will see that green button and click import, and this is going to import it into the scene, and as usual in Cinema 4D is going to place it in the middle of the scene. You can also delete downloaded assets, and let's go back, and there you go, you can see the green button now on that object. So you can continue to browse around and search for interesting assets that you want to download. And while you're looking for assets, you can start to click and search for and start to download other assets. And you can also continue here. Well, some models will take longer because they will have more polygons. So while you wait, you can continue your search. So here you can see I have lighting and again floor. So these are the lamps that are gonna be placed on a pavement, on a floor. And I can choose this one, for example, click and just wait for that assets to be downloaded as well. And it's gonna create like a queue. So the more assets you're gonna download, the more you have to wait. Let's go back to the home page and let's do another search, for example, by space. And I'm gonna select this model, which will be a person, and people are usually the heaviest, like vehicles and trees. And also you can check that switch to see the show downloaded only or all the assets. So when you don't know where your downloaded assets will be, there you go, you have that message is going to tell you that the model is ready. You can click also there in the green light and it's going to be added into the Cinema 4D Objects tab. Let's go back again to the home. 3D models, you can see that when you go to 3D models, you can check show downloaded only. And this is going to show you everything that you have downloaded so far. So this is where you can find the downloaded models. If you missed the message there on the bottom, you can always find them back by going to show downloaded only. And you can see I've already downloaded some assets, and now I can click on the green buttons to place them inside my Cinema 4D scene. So I will continue to select some of these, and then I will place them in an appropriate way into the scene. Okay, now I am going to search for an additional asset. I want a table. So I'm gonna go here to furniture tables and uncheck show downloaded only. Otherwise, I'm only going to see the assets that I have already downloaded. And yeah, this one here could be okay. And then again, 3D models, show downloaded only, and just wait. There we go, the message down there. Now it's not displaying yet in the show downloaded. So sometimes you need to go back and forward to see that. in your downloaded models. Okay. You also have some settings here. You can request assets. You can also give feedback, get help, contact support, and so on. And that's it. This is about it for the Cosmos browsers. Now I will move back that text there and maybe a little bit up and try to set up a scene here with the models that I have just imported. So I'm going to go to the creation here of a cube, which is gonna be resized. So let's increase the size of this because I want to create like a small interior space. So first of all, I'm scaling the text because I want to place that on the back of a wall, and then I want to resize the cube here so I can use it as an interior space. So I'm gonna type 300 centimeters, and I can now scale it with the yellow handles, and let's increase it in an appropriate fashion. Okay, maybe a little less, and okay, resize it. All right, now I have kind of an interior space. Now I want to change also the segments because I can use the segmentation or the divisions to create some openings like windows and doors. And okay, you can see that, but I need I have horizontal divisions, but I will also increase the subdivisions in the other sides, in the other directions, so that I can have more options. And well, this is also explained in the Cinema 4D video course. So there are a lot of tips on how you can create interiors, exteriors in a really easy and quick way. Okay, I'm adjusting a little bit the height because I want those objects to be placed perfectly on the pavement. And okay, now once it's converted to editable, I can access the points and the edges. So I will go to the selection, I'm gonna select those points, gonna bring them down. I can also type an exact value for those points if I want, or I can just do that just by looking at the viewport. So that's gonna be like the base of my wall, and this is gonna be roughly, well, this is for the window, so it could be like 80 or 60 or 100 centimeters, and this will be for the doors opening, so it should be around 200, 220. Okay, so I have all my points in position, and I can also use absolute values if I want to place it perfectly in the correct spot, so not by just looking at the scene. Now, once they're placed, I will switch to another type of selection to select the polygons. And this is kind of polymodeling. So again, this is a topic that is been discussed on the Cinema 4D video course. So if you're interested, you can check those videos. So I'm deleting some faces here just to create some openings, and I can use them later to get the light inside. Okay, and for the moment I want to select all the faces on this front wall because I don't need that. This is gonna be easier for me to work on the interior, so I'm going to take off this wall. So I'm gonna disconnect it from the rest of the mesh, and so I can move it. I can also create, well, I can also separate it so that I can hide it. So I'm gonna do split, and go back to the original mesh. So this will be cube 1 will be the front, okay? And I'm gonna hide it using the circles of Cinema 4D, which we already know if you saw the video course on Cinema 4D. And I'm gonna delete the original wall from the first cube. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the selection of the objects. I'm gonna start to place the assets that I've imported around. So try to create a nice looking scene. And this is the chair right there. Okay, you can see how walls are kind of getting in the way here. So you can work with cameras, but I don't want to add too many topics. We will talk about the cameras later, but they work similarly in Cinema 4D. And again, I'm gonna move this chair and also this other woman here. Okay, now sometimes you can scale the assets a little bit because they could look a little bit bigger or smaller, and then you can place it. Now, in this case, I don't like the look of this woman sitting on that chair, so you just need to test how everything works, make sure that meshes don't intersect each other to have a realistic look. So I can try here to scale it, but it will look too big. So probably in this case, I just want to, well, I can try to fix it with the rotation. Well, just think about your point of view. Now, if the model, it's okay. If it's hidden, the part that is not okay. Otherwise, you just move it into another place where it looks better. And that's it. And I think now we have only this base, and I want to place that on top of the table. As you can see here, I'm doing everything not with precise measures. I'm just building up a scene real quick. I just need to check here in the 2D views if everything is working fine. You can see that it was too high, so make sure it's not too low or intersecting, but not too high as well. It needs to be really close, and that will be fine. You don't need to waste your time in doing things precisely with the snaps. Okay, I just rotated the view, so I'm gonna go back. And now let's continue here. We have everything in the scene. You can see I've added also a couple of lamps. So you can see the materials here in the objects tag. So if you go down here also, you can see that together with the models, we have imported a lot of materials that can be handy when you want to create other models and you want to apply materials that are already there and that you don't need to develop. But we will talk about materials later and see how we can create our customized materials. Also, I want to show you some render objects, some render tools that you will find already in Cinema 4D that can be used also for VRAY. So you can see here, I've opened up the render menu, so I can use, for example, the render region to render just part of my scene. Okay, so we'll just click and drag with the left mouse, select part of my scene, just check that part. This is useful because you don't need to render all your scenes every time, the whole scene, but just you can render portions of the view so that you can understand if that light or that material or that particular assets is working correctly. Now you can see that the assets have their own panels. You can do full geometry if you want to see the full geometry. Otherwise, what you're seeing here is a simplified version of the object. You can also say bounding boxes if you want to make your scene a little bit, well, less heavy. And this will help you with your graphic card. You can work faster and easier if you switch to proxies or to boxes. Otherwise, you can go to the full geometry. You're gonna see all the polygons there. It's gonna be a little bit heavier, especially if you are using models with a lot of polygons, like people and trees and things like that. You can also see here in the wireframe how the number of polygons increases or decreases according to your option in the Cosmos object that you have selected. And you can see also from the wireframe that you can select the light inside that lamp. So usually every lamp comes with a light, and inside you can edit the light, for example, the color or the intensity and all the other parameters. Okay, so you can already start to work a little bit with the lights using Cosmos browser lamps, but we're also going to talk about lights later. Now let's use another tool here, which is the interactive render region. And sometimes this works. It's gonna show you again the preview, the interactively. If it doesn't work, you can use the standard render region. So we also have other possibilities here. So we can go here to, well, render region again should work. There you go. So I can see now that I have increased the intensity of my light, of my lamp floor. So I can run a quick text every time without rendering everything, or I can click here to the picture viewer, which again, it's a Cinema 4D tool, similar to the VRAY frame buffer, and you can see that it's also working with the VRAY. So you can stop here, and it's gonna give you also some other information like the resolution and the timing. You can also use A and B and select 2 pictures, one for A, one for B, if you want to make some comparisons, if you want to see the changes that you have made. Now, of course, I've also changed the point of view, but you can use this to double check the changes that you have done with the lights or the materials. And again, you have also other tools here to compare vertically, horizontally, and so on. So again, this will be also found in the video course, the Cinema 4D video course. And of course, we already created some lights before, in the video before, so we can use those lights as well. The more lights you will have in the scene, the more it's gonna look better, but it's gonna be heavier. And those two were too exaggerated, so I changed it a little bit, the color, trying to set up a nice lighting, nice ambient effect. And you can see there I also have a window. And usually when you do interiors, you can place rectangle lights exactly where the openings are. But we will see that in interior renderings. Now let's run our render and see what changed. You can see now the two colors are not so saturated and not so exaggerated. So it's starting to look fine. I have a light there coming from the right that's looking like an opening, like a door opening or like a window opening. And again, I can go back and forward to see the changes that I made, and I can continue to make changes and make experiments. So what I suggest you can do is start to experiment a lot with these first tools, first assets that we have created, and also a little bit with materials and a little bit with lighting. Also, you can see the noise, which we already talked before. The noise is the first problem that we need to solve. And usually when you increase the lighting inside the scene, that's gonna be less. So the noise can be solved, first of all, with the global illumination and the quality of the lights. Now let's go to the asset browser, Cinema 4D asset browsers. Also here you can search for objects I'm gonna close this menu here, and I'm gonna show you some objects. So you can see you have folders again, and everything will be divided into categories, and you have materials, scenes, meshes, which means models, and also you can see here categories like bathroom or bedroom, and doors and windows, and you also have some um, people there. And just type what you're looking for, and you should find it into the objects. So again, this is also working with the cloud, so I can click and drag, and that's going to be downloaded and inserted into the scene. Usually, again, in the middle of the scene, which means in the origin of the X, Epsilon, and Z axis. So I can work with both Cinema 4D and VRAY props. And this will be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.